whenever you're ready, you're good to go.
Yeah. Well, I'm Scott Hastie. I'm glad to have been invited to speak about Aria Ligi's work. I just want to give you a little bit of context first about myself and where I'm coming from, because I think that maybe helps explain the impression that Aria's work has made upon me. I'm a poet based in the UK. I've been writing poetry and honing my craft for about 50 years now. And it's taken me a while to develop that kind of presence in the literary world, I suppose. I write what I would call spiritual and philosophic poetry. And the theme of my work is an investigation into the human potential, the essence of what makes us human and what can make us shine. And over the years, I've developed a following gradually. And it was really when my website went live in 2012 that my work started to build an international following. So that my work is particularly appreciated by people in Arab countries, in Asia, and in America, interestingly enough. Because I think there are a lot of people in America that have a standard of living which is quite comfortable, but they find themselves not happy, and they find themselves thinking what their life's about. And in a curious way, the pandemic did me a favor as well, because it put a lot of people at home thinking, it stopped the world and everyone had to think what their life was about. So on the back of that, we issued a 30-year retrospective collection called Timeless, and another collection called Splinters, which really put my message out there. And we've now got a website which is approaching 10 million visits. So I do get approached by a lot of writers now, and I get sent a lot of poetry. And I can honestly say, and this is really why I'm here today, that there is nothing that I've come across in the last 10 years that has made such an impression upon me as Aria Ligi's poetry. I genuinely think that she has a unique voice. And the thing about Aria's work is that it has a scale of ambition. You know, what she's trying to do and the quality of her work, you know, you think how deep she digs, and with such craft, such measured precision metrically. It really is quite exceptional. I find that I just want to sort of, she uses sometimes quite archaic language, but it has such a punch, such a modern punch, and it has such a poignancy, and it helps her work get right under the skin of the creative person she's talking about. It takes you into their very being, into their very time and sense of place. And she does it in such a way that, with such a rigor, that's the thing. It's very rare that you read work that has such rigor to it, such precision, such measure. And you have to stand back and just admire that. And the sheer quantity of her work, we've got to bear in mind that this Hymn to Equity is just the first volume of a 14-volume series that she's completed. And I get each volume and I'm amazed at how she produces it in such quantity, but the quality of it. When you look at even her biographical passages that help you to understand who she's talking about, they're written to such a high academic standard. If you look at her footnotes, they would put most academics to shame, really. I genuinely think, you know, she's in a league of her own at the moment, to me. And I want to play a part in getting her work much more noticed. So if we look at the sort of the skin and bones of her work, what makes it special, other than the precision that I've talked about, she has this visceral quality. The way she uses language is so visceral, so alive, it's so dynamic, in a way that I haven't really come across anyone writing like her at the moment. And I'd like to sort of illustrate that with a few little readings, just so that people watching this can get a flavor of her work. To be honest, when she started doing some promotional work, excuse me, I have a bit of a dry mouth, I wasn't that happy with the promotional work because it didn't give you glimpses of her work itself. And I think if you can just actually hear her voice and read her voice, then you can't help but be so impressed by it. And she very cleverly, you know, within what is a narrow constraint of her subject, it allows her to talk about so many universal themes and human experiences, which is what I really relate to based on the description of my work that I gave you earlier. So maybe if I can just read a few things and you can see, I can help sort of, if you like, illustrate the effect that her work has. So even if we just look at the first poem, yes, in that collection, in the first collection called Churchyard Causeway, I'll just read you a little bit about that. And to me, this is a terrific example of the precision that she writes and the power that she carries within her precision. So I'll just read this as best as I can. Not lost, nor a rambling fool, but set as a boat to the crag. Absent his shadow hung, whilst time rounded in its diurnal way. It could ne'er evade nor amend his passing, which left us as orphans consumed and unspooled. I mean, the precision there and the effect as you get to the climax, fantastic. There's another one that talks to precision and power that I picked out. Each member fell as timber through the veil, patterns molded into doom. Familiar names, voices, and shadows melting as vapor, whilst leaving no residue to even resemble the vestiges, nor affect anew. Terrific. And then I talked about some of the universal themes that treatments allow her to talk about. So here's one on grief and loss, again, from this one, there's just one of 14 collections. Grief and loss, where memory laughs, tears and rain casting me out. Urchin urged, Paul wrecked, cleaving high for her tresses and the healing summer rain. Speaks beautifully to grief and loss, and she can be so narrow and so specific. Here's just one line on the nature of youth, which really caught me. I just imagine a young boy or a young girl as I see your eye lilt and flicker in thy shade. How does that speak to youth? And then, of course, when she's writing about Wordsworth, you know, you think of essential themes of Wordsworth, the resonance with nature, an obvious one. 3 lines here. There is no finer place to be. Simple sutures sow the earth and plumb its depth beyond finality. Romanticism, another key theme that the Wordsworth talk about, which, I mean, really, I really resonate with this because I see myself as a poet too in the Romantic tradition, albeit writing in the 20th century. Romanticism. What will become of us? The ink has dried, the lines have faded, Hope for that sage utopian plain faltered, then drained, whilst in the quietude verse is mumbled as prayer, unrestrained in the cool, crisp air, yet the ache remains. I mean, you can't do much better than that on romanticism. Wordsworth, a political animal as well, an idealist, politics. This talks to politics. From the mud that caked our shoes, the garden hung with ivy, our prayer book closed and dusty, quiet demonstrations ne'er consume our sentence, only upon the lips where begins the condemnation. Yeah, terrific. Again, success, enlightenment, another key romantic theme. Where did it lead? Where did it end, this denouement of ours, the jutting and threading, bud unfolding, petals evolving in one long rapturous rapport, the words themselves alive as ne'er before? Just to feel that you've got there. Another very simple little one, because I'm coming to a close now, the notion of delight. 'Neath coverlets and blue-veined toes in the bright light of day, we hunkered down, whiffing for warmth whilst time frittered away. Majestic, isn't it? And one last one, which is a personal one for me, because she's written a line which is not dissimilar to a line that I crafted from the Angels myself. And that is about someone who, maybe many people in the world, who find themselves in this situation because they haven't really been brave enough or sung their song. Oh, that silent man whose life was like a psalm unsung, and love never to be won. So that, if you like, is my contribution of how much I appreciate Aria Ligi's work and how much it hits my soul and how much I believe it is unique, powerful, important, and relevant to the world today. And I can only wish that Aria Ligi's work finds an increasingly wide readership.
Well, thank you so much. That was so beautiful. That was beyond everything we need. That was amazing. And so basically, like so many of the things you said, because I was like really trying to stay quiet, it's exactly how I feel. Like I see so much writing, and Aria's was just like, it seemed like no poet was working to make the form. So, and I'm not a poet, so I don't have quite the words. You know, I'm a children's author, so a little bit different of a life, but you know, like if I had the vocabulary to capture my experience with her work, I would say you captured it so perfectly. So
I did my best for it.
Cannot thank you enough. And so from here, we'll work on getting her campaign live. And then when we have her campaign live, we'll be doing like our thank yous to everyone that helped support the campaign, like you. And so there'll be more to come with that as well. And I cannot thank you enough for your time today and tell you how helpful this is.
Good. Pass my best wishes on to Aria, and keep me in the loop about anything you release or that you put together based on my work and others, because I'll be interested to see how it goes.
Well, and I will let you get back to your celebrations.
Yeah, I'm going back to have another drink now. I can relax a bit more now. I've hopefully done justice to Aria's work.
Yes, absolutely. When you were reading, I could actually like start to see the video, because I can see it like almost opening with your reading of the work, because it's so beautiful. I feel like I just got to sit on a private poetry reading, so I feel very blessed today.
Great. Thank you for your time, and thank you for what you're doing for Aria as well, because I think it's important that the world gets to know a bit more about her.
Well, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you, and enjoy the rest of your night.
All right then. Thanks, Emma Jean.
Bye.
Bye.
you.